Hello everyone, my name is Andrew Wilson. I live in Surrey in the UK. I've had type 1 diabetes since I was 8 years old, so 34 years. Insulin dependent, obviously. I'm on an insulin pump, which I can show you here. And I have been for a couple of years. It's a Medtronic 640G pump. I've never really spoken about being diabetic before. I've spent my entire life kind of working hard to not let it affect me hugely. Unfortunately, 3 days ago, the decision to either self-isolate or not self-isolate came down to the fact that my family and I decided it was more important to be secure and to try and remain healthy than to continue at work where I would always normally be and I still want to be. I feel a bit like I do feel like I've abandoned not just the people at work, but also my entire integrity, my entire sort of life working towards not letting diabetes affect me hugely as much as it does or doesn't. So I'll give you a bit of background. I was diagnosed at the age of 8. I went through 3 weeks of being extremely ill at home, dehydrating the entire time. I barely ate. I had all of the classic signs of becoming diabetic. So I was going to the toilet 15 times a day. Finally taken to the hospital after the doctor had been to visit us a couple of times at home and had prescribed me some antibiotics, which obviously didn't do anything. I was taken to Canterbury Hospital. We lived in sunny Herne Bay in Kent, where my family still live. I was taken to Canterbury Hospital. I was put on a weighing machine and I was 8 years old. Initially I would have been 6.5 stone. When they weighed me I was 3.5, so I'd lost 3 stone, incredibly. And I was told I wasn't told, my parents were told I probably had 24 hours. If they wouldn't have admitted me, I would have had 24 hours before dying. So it was pretty serious. And I do remember my blood sugar being 64 at that time, which, if you think about it now in the UK, that's just mental. So from there, I spent a week and a day in hospital, recovered, felt much better. They taught me how to use my what was at that time disposable syringes. They taught me how to test my blood sugar and they sent me on my way. So with the help of my amazing parents, I just went about my normal day, really. I was very fortunate in my primary school, which was Kings Road in Herne Bay, great school. I had a lovely teacher called Mrs. Turner, and she knew about diabetes. So she kept a bottle of Lucozade in the class. I remember once or twice going low, not really understanding what was going on, and she recognised the fact I was low and gave me some Lucozade to recover, whilst the children around me were just giggling and laughing about it, which at that age wasn't an issue. I then went on to Simon Langton Boys School in Canterbury, and I was the only type 1, as far as I was aware, in the school, as I was in the primary school. And interestingly, I don't remember anyone being type 2 at that time either. So the onset of type 2 really is a modern, in the last sort of 10 to 15 to 20 years, that's really come on with our changing food. But after that, went from secondary school, went to university to study accountancy. Probably my last year in school and my 3 years at university were the years where I really rebelled against being diabetic. I did look after myself very well, in so much as I was training all the time, I was eating well, but I really wasn't testing my blood hugely, and I was drinking quite a lot of alcohol, as is part and parcel of being at university. But from there, I went on and started my working life, where you have to be a bit more serious about your health and your well-being. So I've worked really hard to look after myself for what is coming up for 20 years now, or what is 20 years now. Okay, so why self-isolate? Well, people with diabetes are in category A in the UK, so the view is that we are more at risk than those in category B and C, I guess. But strictly speaking, as I sit here, 42 years old, yes, I've been type 1 for 34 years. Yes, I do also have kind of sinus respiratory problems, I feel pretty strong, I feel pretty healthy. But I guess the risk is that what the hell happens if I get ill? If I get ill, I'm more likely to be seriously ill. I'm assuming. I would hope not, and I would hope, part of me thinks that actually everyone's going to get this at some point. We are just delaying the inevitable, and really all I'm doing by self-isolating is assisting the NHS, which I'm absolutely fine with doing. Don't have an issue with that whatsoever. I'm just concerned that maybe I could be better served, perhaps being at work and perhaps just using social distancing rather than self-isolation. But even so, look, I'm stuck at home. I'm still able to work from home, so it's not a huge issue. I'm still having Skype calls or Zoom calls. It's not a massive issue. It's just the fact that, one, I don't particularly like being isolated and feeling like I'm being not forced, but advised strongly that I should be at home, especially for 12 weeks. And two, I prefer to see people and speak to people face to face. I work in a business with almost 400 staff. Not all of them come and see me, nowhere near all of them come and see me, but I do see quite a few people on a daily basis, and I would like to continue to do so. Clearly I can't. So look, I don't have a massive issue with that. All I'm saying is self-isolation isn't easy, because it has connotations of I'm accepting that diabetes is running my life and I'm not running my life. It's about control, I guess, and I'm sure every day we get closer to understanding more and more about it. But even so, at the moment, I still feel a bit aggrieved about the fact that I'm sat at home whilst other people are working, and I'll include other people that are type 1 as well. I'm sure there's plenty of type 1s that are not self-isolating, but on the grand scheme of things and on a scale, the important thing to do is to follow the guidance. It's been very clearly stated. So that's why I'm self-isolating. That's why I'm going to do this vlog, and that's why I'm going to keep you guys informed about not just how I'm doing, but I've got plans to move from a ketogenic diet to a plant-based diet, depending on the availability of the food. Look, as I'm locked at home for 12 weeks, I'm going to show you that transition. I'm going to show you what my plan is. We are Sunday the 22nd of March at the moment. For the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be showing you my blood results. I'm going to be showing you exactly what I'm eating on my standard ketogenic diet and how many carbs I'm consuming. I will also, what I'll then do is start the switch to the plant-based whole food low-fat diet, which is almost the direct opposite of the ketogenic diet, because in my mind, and from what I've read and what I understand from the Mastering Diabetes team in the US, who are incredible, I think this is I'm much better served following a plant-based whole food low-fat diet. I think that will help with numerous issues that I could potentially have in the future, although I don't have any of those issues at the moment. I'm thinking cardiovascular. A huge percentage of those with type 1 diabetes die of heart attacks and cardiovascular related issues. I don't want that. And I think eating predominantly meat is not probably the best way forward, and it never did feel quite right, but it did control my blood sugars in so much as they were level. However, I think long term it must be detrimental. If you think about it, loads of meat does equal loads of fat. So my view now is I need to become more insulin sensitive, and from the guys Cyrus and Robbie in Mastering Diabetes, I'm going to follow your guidance, and I'm going to show it, and I'm going to log it, and you guys can watch, and anyone else that wants to watch can watch, and we'll see how I go. So what I'm going to do is a daily vlog. I'm going to try and give you a bit of background on my history of being type 1 each day, but I'll also give you an update on how I'm managing, how I'm coping on a daily basis, and where my bloods are and what I've been eating. I think what I'll do is I'll probably leave it there. This is my first vlog. I'm on day 3 of my self-isolation. I'm pulling my hair out in many ways. I'm climbing the walls, do not enjoy it. I am managing to get out and have a bit of a plod around, a little bit of a run, and I'm spending a bit of time with the kids, which is nice. But the real unknown part of this is is what's going to happen in the future. You know, I'm self-isolating for 12 weeks. There's no guarantee that'll be the end of it. There's no guarantee that I'll be allowed. There's no guarantee I'll safely return to work, which is where I would like to be in 12 weeks' time. I'd like to be there much sooner.